All right, everyone. Welcome to Drama Free Gaming. It is what it says, and it says what it is. We are here with an overview of our 32X XTension arcade Rec Room Masters build, and this is just a voiceover on the experience that my brother and I had as I had him come over to help me build this monstrosity of an arcade cabinet. We're gonna jump into it here, but I just want to introduce him and have him say hello, kind of warm up to the mic. What's up, Javi?
Hello, good morning.
All right, so as you're gonna hear, we're not in a soundproof room or anything, but we're gonna try to make this the best. If you're watching this video, thank you for being here. Subscribe here, obviously, at Drama Free Gaming /YouTube.com. And also, you can hear our podcast, which we try to put out on a weekly basis at anchor.fm/DFG podcast. We're coming up on our 50th anniversary, not 50th anniversary, 50th episode, I meant to say. And so go check us out. Again, that is anchor.fm/DFG podcast and anywhere and everywhere else where you might be listening to your podcast. So, Javi, jumping into what we're watching here in the video, and I'm going to hit play on the video here soon, as from our perspective, you guys are already watching this. We're getting to the very beginning of it, and that was the unboxing, 5 boxes. What did you think of the delivery of all this? Just speak your mind as we get into it.
Yeah, well, the boxes looked bulky when they came in. There was a fear that maybe there was like some damage and repackaging, but as we pleasantly and surprisingly found out, it was just a lot of bubble wrap, which is a great thing. The cabinet is wood, and we didn't want to scratch it up. We didn't want to dent it up. Sometimes when you buy furniture, you get corners that are broken off, that particle board, that compressed wood. But none of that happened with the packaging that Rec Room Arcade has done. As you can see, we opened it up carefully with scissors. We weren't gonna go the box cutter way, just in case. We don't want to scratch up any of the surfaces. But everything was super bubble wrapped. Everything was like crazily packaged, really, really well.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I did have a concern, like my brother just mentioned. We got 5 enormous boxes. These things were hefty, heavy. And as the delivery person, I forget if it was FedEx or UPS, one or the other, but as they were actually bringing it to the front of the house and I was dragging them into the house, I was concerned. These things come and appear to be exploding. And I was already getting ready to expect the worst and actually find stuff in conditions that were not going to be optimal. But as my brother just mentioned, and as you're watching even now in the video, as we're pulling the bubble wrap out, there's a lot of bubble wrap in here. Your stuff is going to come seriously protected. Even when we get to the panels here in a moment, you're going to see that even they took the time to wrap it in additional like cellophane wrap so that it wouldn't get scratched up and whatnot. And again, this is from Rec Room Masters. You can go check them out, recroommasters.com, if you're even remotely interested looking into an arcade cabinet build. How do you feel about the process?
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, we were lowering the boxes onto the floor real slowly. I mean, those things could have probably slammed down. That's how much bubble wrap they had. And on the main pieces, the corners of a lot of the parts of the pieces had like some extra foam wrapped around each corner, and then they were bubble wrapped on top of that. So that was fantastic.
Yeah, if you guys haven't figured out, and if you watched the video thus far, this is not meant to be a video that is going to show you step by step how to build it, because when you get to the box that has the instructions are clear. For the most part, I think 95% clear. I wouldn't say 100% clear. There was probably 1 or 2 things that we needed to kind of look at 2-3 times, take our time with. but I think that that's really important that you take your time and follow the instructions, because if you've ever built like IKEA furniture, I think IKEA furniture, my experience has been that the instructions are clear. What do you have to say about that, Javi?
Well, I've never experienced IKEA furniture, but I have experienced furniture from other retailers and other furniture places, and all their instructions is in Chinese. So it's like the only English is like 1A, 2C, and you're like, good luck. But this was very well made, the instructions. I think the only time we actually, the 5% that we encountered that was kind of, we had to look 2 and 3 times, is the unfinished and the finished side. The finished side, the edge will be black, and the unfinished side, which had to go either inwards or towards the back, looked like that that brown wood. It didn't look like the black, and everything was labeled beautifully. You know, this is piece 1A, 2C. It was like a pre-stamped on each piece, so it was great. It was an easy experience. We took our time. We had all day. We took our time, and we just, we ran with it. It was fun. It was a good experience.
Yeah, we separated time. That's one of the pro tips, if you want to call it that here. Separate a good 2-3 hours. Not that it might take you, depending on your skill level, to build this, and definitely have 2 people, because this thing is heavy, it's massive, and it's a 2-part build. We're going to be building here the base, and as you can see again in the video, referencing the video, you saw that the different panels had the numbers and the letters etched into them, and the grooves were already pre-cut, as my brother said. Even the pegs, they already came pre-fitted, so it was literally just piecing it together, following the instructions, of course, taking our time, and like my brother said, taking notice of what was the finished side and which one was the rough side, and just paying attention to detail. There's videos out there of people building this cabinet or similar cabinets from Rec Room Masters, and they give you the ideal video, where they go back and edit and they show you how everything just wonderfully fit together. We didn't have that experience as far as like everything wonderfully fitting together. It did, but we needed to take our time. And I think it was on one occasion where we got like maybe 1 or 2 pieces backwards, and we had to go back and flip them around. But for the most part, that was on us. For the most part, everything fit nicely together, and you'll see us in the video here, laying everything out. You need a space to lay things out, lay these boards out. We laid them out according to the diagram that came, the instructions that came, and that helped us tremendously. Javi, you want to say anything to that?
Well, here you can see we're putting the pegs that are in the pre-drilled holes. They just slide right in. You don't need to whack them with a hammer or anything and damage anything. They just fall straight in. That's for the future. Now, the instructions, it says optimally you have 2-man. You do a 2-man job, and we found this to be a great help especially when it's like 2 corner pieces that need to get put onto a base piece. Like one person had to hold one side, one corner, and that right angle, the other person had to hold the other one while we both looked for the holes to set them in. I mean, it's very simple, but if you're doing this 1-man, good luck, because it's not gonna be that simple. There's parts where they're kind of wiggling on each other, and you have to set them in at the same time. But that's about the most problem that we've had building this thing.
Yeah, I did come across, Javi, a video or 2 of someone saying that they actually built this on their own, and after having the experience now that we've had, I said, man, that must have been tough. and it was also taking a risk. And I'm gonna tell you why, guys, if you're still listening to the video, because when you get to the part, and you'll see it here in our video, I've edited this heavily. So this was actually a recording that spanned over, I think, 2.5, maybe 3 hours, because we took our time. So I've edited this down to a 48-minute video, more or less, that we're doing this talk over now. But it's to share with you guys the experience that we had, and the things we've learned, and the things that you should do to make this an even better experience. And building this on your own is a no-go. Don't do it, because you're going to get, like, to this part right here in the video where we're at right now. You need 2 people, because those are literally being pegged in holes. And if you don't have someone holding and giving that extra support, you can snap something. I mean, this material is strong, right? The wood is strong,
right?
But you can snap something, and there goes your $1,000 investment. Go ahead, Javi.
Well, really, what our worry was, because the cabinet wood itself is great, it's strong. The only thing is that here we have 3 pieces on a. It looks like a base, but that's actually the side of the cabinet. Now where End Time is, he has one thin board, and now he's gonna put another thin board, while I'm holding those 2 that are at a right angle. Now they're a little wibbly wobbly, and I think our main concern was that the pegs were gonna break off. And if the pegs break off inside the pre-drilled holes, then that's another problem. How to get those pegs out. The pegs are there, and they hold, but they're wibbly wobbly until you put that other piece that's going to actually support or sandwich all the pieces that we're setting up right now. I believe there's like 4 pieces. Maybe might be another piece, I believe, and lightly tapping with a hammer. He's not slamming it home.
Yeah, I think this part right here, if I'm remembering right, where you're standing right now is where the little door will go to. Yes. That if you wanted to swap out in the future for a coin mechanism, which I haven't found yet. If you guys see this video and know of a company that puts it out, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. But yeah, I think this is like the coin mechanism, and right above it, because this is the base that we're building here, is the actual like keyboard. I think this is where the keyboard would rest. And so there's some parts there, like my brother just mentioned, that you have to have that second person to provide that stability.
Yeah, it's 2 builds. This is the bottom half of the actual arcade cabinet. We're building the lower half. This is where the keyboard goes. This is where the coin slot would go. This is the lower half, and
yeah. I mean, it's you see how the board is coming across, and all those boards that are standing there are just freestanding on the pegs.
Right.
You see, so we're putting them in. We might lightly tap them. I was even hesitant, really honestly, to get the hammer and tap it, but it needed that sometimes, and just to secure it in there. But you don't want to muscle this. You don't want to be wiggling it in there once it's in there, because it can snap. And if it snaps, you got problems, okay?
Right.
This base, and you'll see later on in the video, the build, that once we get the base done, then we build the top. And then the top, you have to factor in that we're putting in on this arcade build a 32-inch screen, flat screen TV. And that's weight. All of that is weight that's going to be resting on this base here. I'm not saying you should be concerned, because the base is more than apt to hold the weight, but the way that it's designed and the build, definitely a 2-man build, definitely makes the process that much easier. And follow the instructions. Don't be a hard head. Don't eyeball it. I'm kind of glad that it came in 5 boxes and it didn't come with like an illustration on the outside, because we as guys, we just look at the picture on the outside and go, ah, yeah, this goes here, this goes there.
Right.
We flip the instructions to the side, and we don't build it the way it's supposed to be built. And then afterwards, we have extra pieces, quote unquote, which I do have to say, Javi, now that I say that, and it says it in the build, in the packaging, that it did come with extra pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't that we had extra pieces left over. It actually came with extra pieces. Javi, I got this machine obviously for myself here. You've been in this process with me. You've seen the final build, which I'm hoping to put some videos out here in the near future and show you guys what it looks like all set up. The one that I got, the 32-inch one that you're seeing here, I didn't get it with any art on the outside. I left it plain black, and you're gonna see also when we put the marquee in, it's an LED marquee. I decided to invest in the marquee, the lit up marquee, rather than the art. I know want to eventually get a cabinet, and you know that right next to this cabinet I have the TMNT modded, because I got it through Arcade Mod Up, another company you guys should check out. But what do you think? Compare the two. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I know you're in the market for it here eventually.
Right. Well, before I do, going to the video real quick, you see that plank right there? You need that 2-man, because right now I'm trying to line up the pegs with the holes, while, the second person would actually hold and say, hey, my side is not lined up or whatever. There's about six pieces of wood that are being sandwiched here together. As far as a hammer, I should have said, you should definitely get a rubber mallet. Don't use a regular hammer. Use a mallet. But we could have whacked this thing. We discovered later we were slapping it and punching it with our hands, and this thing is strong. But as far as the comparison between this and the 1-Up arcade, this is by far closer to an original arcade machine. It's way better. You can tell, for the price, definitely go with this one, this Rec Room arcade. The artwork on the sides, I was telling my brother that you can probably draw something. My nieces and nephews are great at drawing. You can draw like some stuff on the side, and it'll look fantastic. Getting back to the build, the parts, that one last plank that kept flopping on us, it's kind of at an angle. It's at an angle, and you might think it weird. If you're not following the instructions, you're like, no way that there's a piece of wood that's going to go here, and you're just going to leave it out of the build. But that one is very necessary, because it's an angle piece, and it's there for a reason. All the parts are there for a reason.
Yeah.
But you have to follow that instructions. Don't be a guy, don't be a dude and not follow the instructions. Don't look at the pictures and just say, hey, this goes here and this goes there. We were very meticulous. We put every board in its place, and before we locked anything into place, we made sure that the finished side was the side that was going to be exposed or looking forward. Usually when a piece didn't fit in properly, we had it backwards, or we had it in reverse. So that's also a clue. See, that one piece that keeps falling out of there, that's the piece I'm talking about, that goes like at an angle. But you'll discover when you get yours.
Yeah, I'm glad he pointed that out. We did, like I said, we were kind of being timid, careful. If we would have had like one of those rubber mallets, we would have done it. But we eventually started. I got heavy hands, so I started slapping the thing down with enough force and got everything connected. But patience is the key here. Let me talk about the comparison. I think it's oranges to apples, just to be fair. I am not going to speak ill about Arcade Mod Up. and the accessibility of being able to go out and purchase an arcade machine.
Right.
You know, I like that it comes the way that it comes. You know, most of them now, I think in these, it's in the 4th generation or something. They're coming with the baseboards included. The artwork is really cool. But
Honestly, the one-ups, is for your kids.
they're toys.
They're for your kids. They're short. They're skinny. You know, well, not my kids. My kids have always been large, but but they're for kids. You know, you got the 4 controllers, and they can
Or two or one, whatever which one you get,
and they can rock and roll, and they can have fun and play their games, and they're comfortable standing next to each other. But for adults, we're taller, we're wider. It's you definitely want to upgrade if you want adults playing. Here you see us whacking it. We're just like going for it because we've discovered that it is firm, it is sturdy. It's gonna hold. It's gonna hold. Just don't hit it with a hammer.
Yeah, this right here, like I said before, we've mentioned it a couple times here. This is only the base. And later on, and I don't know if I edited out of the video or not, but there was one piece over there by the left-hand side where you're at, Javi, sitting down on the floor. That one piece of wood was actually the wrong way, and we had to flip it around because when we went to go put in the final bolts, and that's another thing. You're not going to really need any tools. It's an Allen tool, and the Allen tool comes with it, and all the bolts that are that you attach to this machine is with that Allen tool. So you're not gonna need a Phillips or anything like that, or flathead, whatever. The Allen tool. Just don't over tighten anything, okay? And the reason for that is you don't want to strip anything. If you over tighten it, I had heard this before, and I don't know if it's true or not, but just as a word of caution, don't over tighten, especially if you have art on it, because it will start to put pressure, I guess, on the art or whatever, on the wood, and then it'll split it. It'll start messing that up.
Yeah, here we see the screws that take the Allen key. The Allen key is going to tighten all of these screws. The screws should fall straight through.
Right.
If the screw does not fall straight through, you have that piece of wood wrong.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
You have it wrong.
Yeah.
Or the little peg that you stuck in there in the beginning is turned slightly.
Right.
Like the little peg, it shows you a little arrow, and it should be facing outwards, so that little peg the screw could go into that little peg. Yeah, they're furniture pegs.
Yeah, it's like
it's like a wheel.
The lock and key. It's like a lock and key thing. And so it has like a little arrow. It's a little silver. You've seen it if you built furniture, and you just put it in the direction facing outward, so that when you are going to put the bolt in it, it just slides in there. You turn it maybe once, maybe twice, and it's a hand tighten. Again, you don't want to muscle anything on this. Don't be Hercules or anything like that. Just hand tighten it, and it's gonna be more than fine. You're gonna notice that we're tightening it on one side, and again, this is why we emphasize the 2-man assist here, because we're gonna be flipping this thing over on its other side. I don't know about you, this thing is heavy when it's put together, and to flip it and be okay with it just slamming down on the other side, I'm not okay with that.
And there's no screws on the other side as of yet. There's only screws on the side that we're doing now. So if it's a one-man job and they lift, they're probably going to lift the bottom part off of it, and then they're going to have to, good luck.
Yeah, you run the risk of messing it up, okay?
Right.
I think one of the things, just looking at the video again, that I would have done, thinking about it, I don't have rug floors. Like, obviously you see it's tiles, right? And the tiles are smooth. I cleaned out the room before even opening the boxes and everything, so I made room. I swept the room out or vacuumed it or whatever it was that I did, but the room was clean, the floor was clean, there was no obstructions, and so I felt more than comfortable putting these panels down on the floor and knowing, okay, nothing's gonna get scratched up, scuffed up. But if you don't have like a rug or your floor is not carpeted or whatnot, then you might want to put down a big blanket or something to protect it.
And here comes the flip. It's we couldn't get our fingers under it because it's flat.
Heavy.
And it's heavy it's flat.
Yeah.
So we slowly lifted it and gently twisted it, and then we're gonna lay it on its other side and repeat the screw-in process.
Yeah, you see the bottom there? That's where the coin door. I did actually order the door that just has a key, and the keys come with it, and you'll see it later on. But that's my masterful editing as we jumped right over to the marquee. I already took it out of the box. And actually, this is not the marquee. This is actually
the speakers.
The speakers, right? The grills come with it. I think they're like 3-inch or 6-inch. I'm not too sure. Instructions say it. But anyways, this was one of the parts that on the instructions that wasn't clear because there's no there's no pre-drilled holes for the grills. So you have to kind of like line them up and then just go for it. And again, I'll be 100% honest. This was kind of nerve-wracking. I would have liked that the holes would have been pre-drilled so that we wouldn't go through the wood, because there's a bunch of screws that come with this, and I did go slightly through the wood when I put these grills on either side. But it's okay because that's going to be inside and underneath the arcade.
Right. I was going to say where you drilled, it splintered up. Yeah. You know, do not use an impact drill. Yes. Use a regular drill, regular old drill. Right. If you were to have drilled that with an impact or harder or faster, it would have probably split the wood. Right. Maybe, I don't know. The wood is very strong, but the job that you did there when you lined up, it had like the wood itself had these slots, had these lines pre-cut. Yeah, you'll see them in the back. You could see them there a little bit, and it's just basically putting the ring and then the speaker cover, and that's it. You know, it just lining it up where you wanted it.
Yeah. Now let's be clear. Also, my wife asked me when she saw us doing the build. She came down a couple of times and saw the process. And I don't know if it was towards the end of the build when she was seeing it all put together. She was like, "So what did you pay for?" And what you're paying for here, guys. The investment is in the actual quality of this arcade cabinet. The facility for which you're going to have building it. Obviously, if you follow the instructions, it's gonna last you a good long time. And it's not a toy. This is big boy.
Big boy
gaming.
Toys.
Yeah, this is big boy toys. Yeah, but yeah, this is for you to get that arcade nostalgic experience. We haven't gotten to the control panel here. I'm gonna show it, I think, towards the end of the video. But this is I'm thinking now, and again, I don't want to disparage arcade mod up, arcade one up machines or anything. They're great for what they are. They're an introductory. However, I would be lying if I would have known that about Rec Room Masters and this cabinet and the availability of this cabinet, because I'm a tinkerer. I like to build stuff. You like to build stuff, Javi?
Yeah, of course.
I want to learn. I want to build stuff. I want to customize stuff. I would have gone with Rec Room Masters first and foremost. I would have probably never picked up an arcade one up. They're great for what they are, but this is fully customizable. You're not going to receive one of these with a PC or a Raspberry Pi for your emulation. You're not going to get that stuff with this. You're just paying for this arcade cabinet and this awesome control panel, which you'll see here in a moment. And they have a variety of control panels. Javi, speak to that.
Yeah, this here, I always take it back to the video. I don't like to just talk, but this was probably one of the parts where we had difficulty. Confusing. Yes, confusing is a better word. Yeah. Only because Sam had a TV that wasn't, it wasn't the size. It was the
recommended. It was a recommended one.
It is the recommended size.
Yeah, it's a recommended. Okay. But what we didn't find clear again in the instructions was that there was kind of like these spacers, right? Remember that came with it. And we know that those spacers, now we know because we build it, that those spacers were if you in fact got a different type of TV.
Okay.
Because this was actually one of the TVs that they recommended. I wish offhand I had the brand of the TV, but on the Rec Room Masters site, when you do order, they do have a link. And I was able to pick this up at Best Buy for like $100, something like that, 109.
And you know what? Kudos to Rec Room. You know, Rec Room is not sponsoring this video, but you know, kudos to them and their pre-drilled, pre-slotted wood pieces, because regardless of what model or make of TV that you were to put on there with the piece of wood that came for it, it had the slots like perfectly lined up. We just didn't know how to line them up or what parts to use and what parts not to use. Those spacers that Sam is talking about, it's not, you know, you didn't need them. They were just there to keep the wood from smashing up against the back of the TV. You know, here we see that he's putting the spacers in there, but later on it's like we didn't even use them. We just used the screws that were there, and it wouldn't screw in all the way to touch the TV and smash the wood against the TV. It just slid in there, and it allowed it to raise up and down. You'll see afterwards you can raise the TV level, the eye level up on the TV, up and down.
Yeah, and again, none of this was difficult. It was explained, but you have the again the flexibility. The TV that I got was a recommended one on the link for Rec Room Masters to put in here. So it is a 32-inch, I believe it's a 720 LCD high def TV. And you listen, guys, if you want, is your prerogative. If you want to get a 1080, you know, TV, if you want to put something, you know, 4K, but if you're retro gaming like I am, I'm not putting any, you know, Xbox Series X in here or PlayStation 5 or what. I'm not doing that. My purpose for this was to run the front end, which I'll talk about at another video. I have the license for Launch Box, Big Box, and to run my SNES, you know, Sega Master System or Sega Master Drive, you know, those old school emulations, of course, MAME as well. And it looks great on this TV, okay? Because, I mean, those games in that genre, in that era, were not 4K, you know, so you don't need to spend a whole lot of money unless you want to.
Right. Those are specs. Those are specs. That's another video.
Yeah, and that's another video. I wanted to throw that in there just so people doesn't don't think like I got to get the latest and greats. I've made that mistake.
You get a little carried away. Exactly. You get geeky.
Yeah.
So I want to take it back to the build. You saw that we just removed the spacers right there. We just removed the spacers because we found out they weren't really necessary. Now we're finding and lining up the screw holes. Now the screws are gonna go in, but they're not gonna really like tighten, because they'll allow the TV to slide along those grooves, which was fantastic. You know, it held and it's holding. Also, I wanted to say the size of the TV when the build is done, the TV is great. It's fantastic. It looks great. You can even go up a little bit in size. It has a few inches on all sides that you can go a little bigger on the TV if you choose to. And but regardless, it all depends on the picture quality of your TV. That's the main thing right there. You can have a smaller TV and great picture quality, and my brother will get into specs and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not that person. I'm the build person.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and I thank Javi for keeping me here on track. Yeah, we're not gonna go into the specs of it, but definitely a 32-inch. This is built. This arcade cabinet is a 32-inch recommended. Like he said, I'm sure you can probably put a bigger screen in there, a slightly bigger screen. I'm not gonna tell you a 42-inch is gonna fit in here.
Just a few inches.
But you know, maybe a 36-inch if that's even something. But regardless, it's gonna look great once it's in there. And yeah, just to clarify maybe just a little bit, when we got the screws in there and we got that back panel on, that mount on the TV, and it grips the TV. The TV's not going anywhere. It's not going to separate from that back panel, and it is meant to slide. up and down, because you are going to adjust it once you get it into the cabinet and into the position that you want to here on the build. You notice I'm just using a Phillips, right, screwdriver. I'm not trying to get a drill and drill this. You don't want to do that. You know, the screen is on the bubble wrap. It's on a table. It's protected. Again, take your time with the build. Let me say this also, Javi. You know, the monies that you invest into this, do you think it was worth it? I mean, it's a slightly over $1,000, and you're gonna see the control panel here in a moment. But what do you think?
The price point is great. The price point is great. You're not gonna break the bank. To be honest, people see a lot more on income tax refunds, and if they want a big boy toy, then they're gonna go for it, and it's not gonna break the bank. Right before we got back to this build, which is the top portion of it, you saw Sam holding a wire. What we discovered is that
cable,
please plug in all your stuff
Yes.
to the TV before you screw in that back panel.
Yes.
Make sure every plug that you want connected to your TV is connected to the TV, then put in that back panel, because unless you have baby hands, you're not going to be able to get a plug in.
Not even.
Maybe with tweezers or some MacGyver tool that you might have. But plug in everything to the TV, and just leave them loose like that until you're ready to plug it into your main CPU.
Yeah, good catch on that. I was gonna say that I got sidetracked. Looking at the video, yes, you're gonna see even now as we're sitting on the floor and we're building the top portion of it. There's cables. You know, that's coming from the TV. That's the TV right there on its side, with that back panel. And so again, the emphasis of two-man build, so that we're protecting that screen, but the cables are hanging out the side, and you might say, oh, that's an inconvenience. Listen, the instructions themselves say put in your cables now. Make sure that everything is in there. Your HDMI cables are in there. If you're using a coax cable, whatever it is, or one of those cables for your I forget what it's called, an optic cable for your sound, because
S-video.
Yeah, or whatever it may be.
Whatever.
I'm gonna be emulating from my computer, so it's an HDMI to HDMI. But yeah, have all your cables in there, because there's no way, no how, once you put this together, that you're going to be able to get any cables in or out unless you take this thing apart. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be unscrewing and screwing and unscrewing it. It's a task. You want to just do it. You know, get one and done. A one and done deal. So
right, and before I forget, when we actually build this top portion of it, because the TV is meant to slide, please be careful and make sure you have you either flip it slowly, because the TV will slide downwards, or just, you know, have a hand on it if you can. Don't flip, you know, don't flip it fast. You know, right. I don't think anyone's gonna do something like that on such a high investment, you know, even though the price point is great again, but they're not going to be, you know, two-man job. Just flip it slowly, everything slow. Don't be a brute. Don't be a dude, you know, don't be a guy, and just do everything nice and slow, follow instructions, and everything is going to come out really nice at the end.
Yeah, a wise man told me one time when I was practicing my draw, right? He says, remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And so you want to be conscientious of what you're doing. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. It's great. It's a great experience. I had a great experience, Javi, building this. I can't emphasize that enough. Follow the instructions and you're going to be more than okay. I'm trying to think here what it is that I can add to this. Oh, let's talk about pre-planning before you make the decision. If you are in the market thinking about getting an arcade cabinet, think about what you want out of this machine, okay, or out of this build. Are you going to be using a PC to run your games, your emulations, or are you going to run it off a Raspberry Pi? Then maybe you don't need a 32 inch arcade cabinet. They have smaller models for that. The control panels also are diverse. You're looking into a 4-player control panel, a 2-player control panel. Do you want it to work with PC? Do you want it to work with the Pi? The one that I got specifically, Hobby, was to run with my PC, but it has 3 modes. I didn't know that. It has 3 modes. Literally, I can have it so that it's pre-configured. It comes that way to act like a PC, the control panel. So I have the roller, the ball. I have the spinner on mine, and the 2 arcade controllers with the 6 buttons, and then the rest of the buttons like the coin button, the start button, pause button. But there's 3 modes, and it gives me the flexibility again to switch between the modes and configure stuff. And that's where I want to kind of like, now that we have about 10 minutes or less in the video to talk about, you have to be willing to tinker and to learn how to do these things, unless, and this is your other option, unless you're just going to go buy an already pre-configured, pre-built PC, stick it in to this machine, and you're done.
Right, plug and play style.
Plug and play, because
Right.
it is plug and play.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I like about it.
It's you get more satisfaction and you get more games, of course, if you learn how to program these. And it's simple. I don't know how to do it because I'm not the electronic computer guy. Like I said, I'm the build guy. But I did see that on the finished product, there is a door that you can open, and there's the keypad, your keyboard, and the mouse. So I'm sure you can play the games as well on keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, you can.
If that is your style.
Right.
You know, you don't have to use joystick button, which is also another great feature about it.
Yeah, like I have right now, I have my GameCube games on there, right? But I'm thinking about removing it off of my build and putting it on a Raspberry Pi or on a separate build, only because I just find it uncomfortable playing with my control panel, configuring it, because the GameCube controller is different, you know. And so it's easier if I wanted to, I can bypass that, unplug the actual control panel for the arcade, and plug in my GameCube controllers. You can do that, and it'll recognize it. You can configure it, and you can play on your arcade cabinet with your GameCube, your USB GameCube controllers, if you're running it off of a Raspberry Pi or a PC. So you have that flexibility to do that. But guys, if you are looking to build, and then not only build, but you're looking to configure things, take time maybe to research ahead of time. What is it that you want to put into this arcade? Are you going to run it off a PC or a Raspberry Pi? What are you going to run? What's the front end softwares that are out there? And I know that for a lot of you guys, that might be too techy in me speaking, but figure out, how do things work? I looked up stuff for several months, and this was after buying my my first machine, the arcade 1-up,
Right.
and getting the mod on that, and I was satisfied. But I said, wait a minute, I can do this. I you know, that's just the way I am. I know how to do this. I just need to find out what's the software that they're using, because I want to be able to customize stuff, and you want to be able to do that in the future as well.
Yeah, well, coming from a non-gamer gamer, you know, if the control panel, my brother has the spinner, he has the ball, he has the 2 joysticks, all the buttons. Now, me personally, I would get 2 cabinets, one, just 2 controllers, no spinner, no ball, because I'm not, like I said, I'm a gamer, non-gamer. I don't play any of the spinner ball games or any of that stuff. And I would get a second cabinet that has 4 controllers for Gauntlet, Simpson game, 4-player games like that. And I would divide the games in, in accordance. Also, if you learn a little bit about the technical portion of it, you can actually get the light phaser guns, and they just plug and play directly from what my brother has told me. They plug right into a Raspberry Pi, or they'll plug right into, you know, the computer or whatever you have in there. You see how we're now in the video. You want to take care that you don't drop it, because your TV is already connected and it's secure there, you know. But with two people, you can move those wires where you need to put them, which is towards the back of the computer, of the console itself. And there's holes already that were pre-drilled that go through to keep the cables nice and neat back there, you know, and accessible.
Yeah, I definitely, again, Javi, I can't imagine anyone lifting this monstrosity and by themselves and doing what we were just doing here. This thing was
too heavy. It wasn't too heavy, honestly. It's
by yourself, it probably is.
Oh yeah, definitely by yourself. But it wasn't too heavy. It's just more of lining up properly and not dropping it.
Yeah, and I didn't show in this video, but if you guys noticed before we put this top portion on the base here, I had already inserted my LED marquee, and that was something I didn't want to do, include in the video here as we're winding down, because it wasn't difficult. Again, if you order the LED marquee, there's a link on Rec Room Masters to where you can get the LED or the LCD marquee, whichever one you go with, and there's videos out there how to set it up. It was easy peasy. It wasn't anything challenging, literally plug and play, but there's software, again, that comes with it, and you have to figure it out, you know. So there's additional there's an additional learning curve, and again, this is what makes I hope this video educational and more informative, because we're telling you about the stuff that comes afterwards. We're not just giving you, oh, here it is and now you're ready to play. No, there's more to it than that. There is pre-planning, and then there's post-planning as well, and post-learning, and it'll be trial and error. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to probably run into a wall depending on your proficiency, but just stick with it and create and build. I'm still working on my arcade build, to be honest. You know, removing games that I know I'm not going to play. I don't need all the games that were ever created and all the versions. And so that's just to give you here, guys, an idea as we wind down. We have a couple minutes left. Any thoughts? Anything that you might want to add to this, Javi, before we shut it down?
The marquee, I was kind of like, is this super fragile? But then afterwards, it was just like, peel it off and put it on there, because it's not that fragile. You know, it's, of course, take care of your investment. Take your time, do it right. I just wanted to also say that I don't know if there is some way that there could be a non-fingerprint surface. I don't know. I don't know that much about the industry or anything, but you're definitely gonna get fingerprints from the oils in your hands onto the wood. I'm sure you can wipe them down later, but you know, that's just something that's always gonna be. Here we're opening the controller, the
control panel. Yep.
Yeah, and we're trying to be safe and not break or scratch anything. But as you can see, the corners were super padded with foam, and there was just a lot of plastic wrap and everything on it. So, you know, just get in there. You know, be careful. You know.
Yeah, we left. I purposely left this as the last part, as we're unwrapping this, and yeah, just take your time, but again, super impressed with the quality. I think just my ending remarks, and it's going to be interesting here for us to put this voiceover to this video. Hopefully everything lines up, but just some parting words. It's a great investment. If you're in the market, check out RecRoomMasters.com. Do some research, pre-plan stuff before you pull the trigger on and making this purchase. But once you do, and if you do, I don't think you're gonna have any regrets. Again, we're not sponsored by Rec Room Masters. This is solely our experience, and thus far, it's been a great one. So I'm gonna leave you with just us here unwrapping the end of of our build here. This was the last thing, and yeah, and catch you on the next one. This is Drama Free Gaming. I'm End Time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you want to leave any comments, maybe questions that you have that might be more specific and we didn't cover here. This was not meant to be an all-inclusive, all-informative video, but we hope that you enjoyed. We hope you learned something, and more importantly, we hope that you hit that like button, share it out with someone, and subscribe. And again, catch our podcast, DFG Podcast, at anchor.fm and anywhere and everywhere that you listen to podcasts where we talk about gaming, life, etc. Well, until the next one, appreciate you. Be good. Do good. Thank you, Javi, for being here. And keep your life and your gaming drama-free, people. Later.